Hello everyone and welcome to the WhiteGoblinGames living room. Today we're going to dive deeper into the world of Montana and we're going to look at longhorns, big beasts that graze on the meadow, but are standing on exactly the right place where we want to build our settlements. So we have to skedaddle them, and that can cause a lot of problems. We can also build our settlements next to mountains where you have a chance to find gold and get extreme wealth. And there are events that can cause even more problems within the game. Let's explore these expansions in this explanation video of Montana, Goldrush, and Longhorns. These expansions contain different modules that you can add onto the base game of Montana. So, if you want to play the expansions Longhorns and Goldrush, you will need to have the base game Montana. First, I want to talk to you about how I set up this game. I set up this game for 2 players because it's more compact, and I will be playing as the blue player and our opponent will be green. One base game rule change that applies to both expansions is that during the setup you place the starting tile on a field with a cow. The cow you put back in the box. With module 1 from Longhorns, each player gets 9 normal settlements and 3 ranch settlements. Each player places the settlements in a stack on his board in a certain order. 2 regular, then 1 ranch, then 2 regular, 1 ranch, 2 regular, 1 ranch, and then 3 regular. Each player gets a ranch board in their color and places a ranch on each ranch space on their ranch board. Shuffle all ranch cards. Give each player 3 face down ranch cards and place all remaining cards in a face down deck next to the game board. To win the game you need to build 12 settlements, 9 regular settlements and 3 ranch settlements regardless of the number of players, and additionally you need to have built at least 3 ranches. Players need to build their settlement in the order as they are placed in the stack with settlements. Ranch settlements are built in the same way as regular settlements. Important fact is that the number of ranches a player can build is not limited to 3. Building a ranch is an action which replaces an entire build action. Note that the player doesn't receive any silver for refraining from building any settlements during this action. Each ranch card shows a combination of goods, money, and or workers. To build a ranch, the player pays all the resources on one of his ranch cards to the supply. Then, the player takes a ranch from his ranch board and places it on one of the settlements on the game board without a ranch already on it. This way, the player unlocks a special ability for the rest of the game starting from his next turn. The player can choose which ranch he wants to build and thus which special ability to unlock. After the ranch is built, the player discards the ranch card used to build the ranch and draws a new ranch card from the deck. To build the first ranch settlement, you need to have built at least 1 ranch on the board. To build the second ranch settlement, you need to have built at least 2 ranches. And to build the third ranch settlement, you need to have built at least 3 ranches. You can use the ranch settlements to build on a double settlement field or as an additional settlement when having built 4 settlements in a line, but only if you've built enough ranches already to be allowed to build this settlement. Ranches can be placed on any settlement tile. Here's an overview of all the special abilities you can unlock when building a ranch. This one says when you gain grain or pumpkin with the work action, you gain 1 additional good of that type. This effect says that when you gain copper or coal with the work action, you gain 1 additional good of that type. This bank effect says when you gain money at the bank with the work action, you gain 2 additional silver. This action says when you decide to refrain from building settlements during the build action, you gain 1 extra money for each settlement you've refrained from building this turn. This action says, after spinning the wheel during the recruit action, you may choose to pay 3 silver to get the corresponding goods instead of the depicted workers. After spinning the wheel, you can still pay grain to move the arrow to gain additional workers, but you cannot pay 3 silver to get goods instead of workers this time. This effect says, after spinning the wheel during the recruit action, you may pay 1 grain to take any 2 workers from the supply instead of moving the arrow. To use module 2, we need the 20 supply cards. Shuffle all supply cards and place them in a face down deck next to the game board. Draw 3 cards and place these face up next to the deck. Players can use these cards during the build action instead of building a settlement. The player pays the cost shown on top of the card to get the goods, workers, money shown on the card. Then the card is discarded and replaced with a new card from the deck. Players can use multiple supply cards in a turn, but each card only once and only one card per action. When a player decides to use a supply card instead of building a settlement, he doesn't get any silver for refraining from building. When the deck with supply cards runs out, shuffle the discard pile to make a new deck. This is the module with the Longhorns. Place a Longhorn on each field with a cow. On each landscape tile, a maximum of 2 Longhorns can be placed. If there are more than 2 fields on which a cow could be placed, choose 2 fields at random to place the Longhorns on. Choose 5 Longhorn cards at random. Place these cards face up in a random order in a column next to the game board. Place the marker on the bottom Longhorn card. During the game, the effect of the Longhorn card with the marker on it is active for all players. When a player builds a settlement on a field with a Longhorn, he moves the Longhorn to any adjacent free field, a field without a mountain, settlement, or other Longhorn. If there are no adjacent free fields available to move the Longhorn to, the Longhorn is removed from the game. When a Longhorn is moved or removed, move the marker on the Longhorn card upwards to the next Longhorn card. If the marker was on the top Longhorn card, it's moved to the bottom Longhorn card. After moving the marker, the old Longhorn card isn't applied anymore and the new Longhorn card is immediately active. Longhorns are moved each time a settlement is built on its field. If the marker has already been moved this turn, the marker doesn't move. The marker is only moved once each turn. In the manual you can find an overview of all the Longhorn cards and their effects, but I will give you an example to show you what the cards can do. For example, this card says you can exchange 2 of the same types of goods for one other good anytime during your turn. You can't exchange 2 goods for a big copper or a big stone. In this case, this card would help you. If you have trouble understanding any of these cards and their effects, you can leave a comment down below and we'll try to reply to you as fast as we can. The 3 special settlements are additional to all the settlements you already owned, so now to win the game you must build all your settlements. With 2 players that's 15 settlements, with 3 players that's 13 settlements, and with 4 players that's 11 settlements. When you choose to build action during your turn, you can choose to build a special settlement instead of a standard settlement. The special effect of the settlement is immediately in effect. If you place multiple settlement tiles on a field, the special effect will only apply if the special settlement tile is on top. This is the gate. Immediately receive 1 silver for each adjacent settlement from the opponent that settlement belongs to. If players have insufficient silver to pay, they must pay all the silver they have. This is the market. After building the settlement, you may immediately exchange 1 good for 1 other good from the supply for each adjacent settlement, regardless of the player the settlement belongs to. It is not possible to exchange large goods. If any goods you want are not available in the supply after you've built the market, then apply the base rules for limited workers and goods. This is the watchtower. When an opponent wants to build a settlement adjacent to the watchtower, they must pay 1 extra good. This good must be part of the goods cost depicted on that field. When multiple watchtowers are adjacent to a field, then they all affect the building costs of the settlement to build there. Module 2 consists of 2 double-sided landscape tiles. Create the landscape board as described in the rules of the base game, but replace the center tile with a special landscape tile of your choice. The side of the landscape tile that is visible adds new rules to the game. This is Helena. The first player to build a settlement adjacent to the lowland field with a road receives 2 indicated workers and places these on their board according to the rules. If any of the depicted workers are not available in the supply after you've built the settlement, then the base rules apply for limited workers and goods. Important to note that the settlement must be built adjacent to at least 1 side of the lowland to get the workers. Thereafter, the center field is available to build a settlement on. The player who builds the settlement in the center places 2 additional settlements on that field. The costs for building a settlement in Helena are 5 large copper or large stone in any combination. And important to note is that you can never build a settlement on the lowland field surrounding the city of Helena. This is Great Falls. The first player to build a settlement adjacent to a lake field receives the depicted goods and places them on their player board. If any of the depicted goods are not available in the supply after you've built the settlement, then the base rules apply for limited workers and goods. Thereafter, the center field is available to build a settlement on. The player who builds the settlement in the center places 2 additional settlements on that field. Important is to note that you can never build a settlement on a lake field. This is Bighorn Canyon. The first player to build a settlement next to any of the river's ends receives 5 silver from the bank. Note that all 3 sides on each end of the river are considered to be adjacent to the river's end. On each side of the river, only 1 player can get 5 silver. This is Granite Peak. Place a canteen marker on each water field. You can only take 1 canteen marker during your turn from this or other landscape tiles. When you build a settlement adjacent to multiple canteen markers, you must choose which canteen marker to take. You can only spend 1 canteen marker for an extra turn. After your extra turn, play continues to the next player. During your next turn, you can spend another canteen marker. Module 3 is played with 30 event cards and 1 event board. Place the event board next to the playing area. Shuffle the event cards and place these in a face-down pile on the left of the event board. At the start of the game, there are no cards on the event board. At the start of the first round, draw 1 card from the pile and place this on the left space. There is no active card the first round. At the beginning of the start player's turn, remove the card on the right space of the event board if there is one, move the card on the left space to the right, and draw the top card of the face-down pile and place this on the left space. The card on the right is active during each player's turn. In the rules manual, there's an overview of all the event cards and their effects. If you're having trouble understanding one of these cards, you can leave a comment down below on this YouTube video and we'll try to help you as fast as we can. To show you what the cards can do, I will give you 2 examples. This card says that when choosing the recruit action, you can't pay grain to recruit an extra worker. This is a negative card, but you also have positive cards, like this one. If you have 0 cows at the start of your turn, receive 2 silver from the bank. Have fun exploring all these cards and their effects. Within Module 4 you find 22 mountain tiles. Shuffle all mountain tiles face down and place 1 face down on each mountain field on the landscape board. If a player builds a settlement adjacent to 1 or more mountain fields, then they may look at all the adjacent mountain tiles at the end of their turn. They must take 1 of those mountain tiles. The other mountain tiles are returned to the fields they were taken from. Note that if a mountain field does not contain a mountain tile, then the player can only look at the other adjacent mountain tiles. If no mountain tiles are present, then the player does not receive a mountain tile. The mountain tile the player took can be used from the next turn on for its special effect. After a mountain tile is used, it is removed from the game and returned to the game box. It is allowed to use multiple mountain tiles in the same turn. There are 4 different effects a mountain tile can have. This one says, receive 3 silver from the supply. This one says, receive the depicted good from the supply, and if the supply of the chosen good is empty the moment you want to use the mountain tile, then apply the base rules for limited workers and goods. This tile says, during your turn you may pay 2 cows once to upgrade the depicted good. And this tile says, receive 1 worker of the depicted color. And if you don't have any room for this worker on your player board, you must return another worker from your player board to the supply. And also, if no workers of the chosen color are in the supply the moment you want to perform this extra action, then apply the base rules for limited workers and goods. These expansions add a lot of fun to the core mechanics of the game, and you can even puzzle around with different modules from different expansions. And if you want to see more of these games, go to our website www.WhiteGoblinGames.nl. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like and leave a comment, and we will make more of these kind of videos for you guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial video.